Hi, I'm Jennifer Case. I work for the Oregon Department of Forestry. You can come on, Pat. We kind of go hand in hand and partners. Natural Resource Specialist for the Oregon Department of Forestry.
Patrick Peterson, Oregon Department of Forestry, Climate. Jen will talk to you a little bit about the opportunities that we have for some financial assistance. I just wanted to introduce myself. We're going to be the technical on-the-ground foresters for you that Josh and some of the other agencies are talking about. So some of those individual questions that you have about your properties, whether you need to replant, which trees you can cut down, how we're going to mitigate for erosion, questions like that can go through us. My business card's over here by the hand sanitizer, as well as Jen. You can contact anybody at the Climate Oregon Department of Forestry and they can point you in the right direction. A lot of what we'll do is just do an assessment on your land and see what you have, the current conditions, your objectives, and then we can kind of point you in the right direction to some of these other funding sources to try to get treatment done. So with that, I'll let Jen go here.
So kind of like Pat was saying, we work with NRCS as the technical foresters. We come out and we look at your guys' property post fire, and then also if your property didn't burn up and you just have some fuels reduction work to be done, we work with NRCS with that as well. So you'll be seeing us around kind of helping with that. As for fuel mitigation work, so we have a grant, a federal grant, it's called the Western States Grant, here in Chiloquin, and what we do is we do fuel breaks around your guys' property, defensible space, like Evan was talking about. Fire's going to happen. We live in a woolly area. We have trees, we have brush, but making your house defensible. If a fire were to come through, we're not going to guarantee that your house is going to make it, if you have defensible space, but it's going to make it more defensible if a fire, and it's going to be able to allow firefighters to do their job and to defend your home in that case as well. So my cards are over there. If you have any questions, I guess just a little background on what our fuels crew does. It's typically a 5 to 10 person fuels crew. They run with chainsaws, chippers. We have a brush blazer, which is a self-propelled just masticator basically. And then we also are getting a skid steer, and that also masticates brush, stuff like that. And so again, creating defensible space around your home up to 100 feet, as well as fuel breaks around your guys' property boundaries. Help with fuels mitigation.
And just a reminder, we still are in fire season. We're not quite out of this yet. With that, a lot of ODF resources are being used for fire. So if you need us to come look at your land, please be patient. We are on a fire assignment. We'll get there as soon as possible. And also, we still need to be following fire restrictions. If you're out there doing work on your own property, make sure you know and abide by the current fire restrictions.
And I guess I just wanted to touch real quick. With the NRCS project, we typically focus on the properties that are more than 20 acres, and then with my fuels reduction work that we do, we focus on properties that are less than 20. So just so you guys kind of know and are calling the correct resources. So any questions? Go ahead.
So if a landowner is thinking about salvage logging on their property, what kinds of things do they need to be aware of?
We do. So I have a handout over here. It's kind of a question answer type thing if you're thinking about doing salvage logging. It'll try to give you an idea of what you're looking at as far as if you have merchantable timber on your land, if the cost of that is worth potentially having to replant later. And then any of the specific questions on your property and specifically you can go through us and we'll do a site visit and an assessment at that time.
What's the difference between, you said less than 20 acres, and then we talked about NRCS, and I thought I understood if you got your community together and had more than 20 acres in your community, then you could go to NRCS versus ODF. So, I mean, where's the mixture here, and what can we do? What seems the right approach?
Yeah, so and I've had a landowner who I've been helping out. They're siblings, and so they combined their property to be 30 acres. I want to say it's maybe 15 and 15 they had. And so I think that has to be done through NRCS. They'd have to put in an application. Correct me if I'm wrong, Josh.
FSA does all those revisions and the boundaries and
okay, because you have to have a
farm tract numbers. Okay. Those get revised to be an all-inclusive
evaluation.
Okay.
Yeah, so I guess if you have, you know, properties next to each other or neighbors who want to get together to do that, it would be a good idea to probably get a hold of one of us and we can kind of discuss that.
So either you or Josh.
Yeah,
Okay.
that seem right?
Just trying to be
Yeah,
clear.
yeah, that's fine.
And I would encourage contacting us at Oregon Department of Forestry to do an assessment once again, and we might know some other funding sources where you might fit in a little bit better.
I just have a comment or praise to say for the small acreage project in our Rainbow Park neighborhood. It's been very successful treating individual lots as they get to it. And one thing that I found with the smaller acreage, because there's no cultural or other kind of assessments that are long-term that can be done, it can be quicker. And so it's easy to get people signed up individually but, you know, and they get to it one at a time and, you know, they're working hard. They've done a lot in our neighborhood, so. And we were sweating it when the fire was coming, so.
Yeah, so I guess with that, I just would like to say that it is going to take some time. We're not going to get out in a few weeks, in a few months. You know, I would typically say six months is the usual wait time, as our fuels crew is made up of mainly firefighters. And so that's their jobs during the fire season, and then the shoulder seasons of fire, they are employed to do fuels reduction work. So it is going to take some time, but it's best to at least give us a call, get on the wait list. Since we do have this equipment, the skids here, you know, we're hoping to up our production and get folks done faster, if that makes sense.
And I would just echo that. I mean, when we did the project, I mean, we had to start, I think it took a year for us to actually get the process going, but once it started, once y'all sent us those permissions lists, we sent those out, they came back within a couple of months, and that was, you know, from sending out the approval slips to the landowners to the actual crew on the ground was maybe 2-3 months. I mean, once we actually got it done, it was pretty quick. So it is certainly easier to do it on private property, or small properties, than it would be to do it on, I don't know, the larger property for you, but yeah, it went really smoothly.
One thing to add as well, because we often get a lot of questions like, you know, I work on my own property, but my neighbor's property is a nightmare. And we can't work on anybody's property with any of these programs. We can't work on your neighbor's property without their permission. So, but what we've seen with Chris's example and with Karen, that they reach out to people on our behalf. We only have mailing addresses, we have some phone numbers and some emails, but for the most part, we only have tax lot information and whatever address that the county has on file. We don't know your neighbors, they're not responding to us, and, you know, we've knocked on some doors, but, you know, we're kind of limited. So if you really want us to treat your neighbor's property, go and track them down and give them our information, and or, you know, at least give us their phone number or, you know, whatever it is, because that's the only way that we can get our foot in the door with them, is with your help.
The way to do that, I'm a GIS nerd, the way to do that is go to the Klamath County Assessor's Office, and they can give you, so if you have your parcel information, and they can pull up a map and give you the information on every adjacent parcel, because that's a very good point. You can't control what your neighbors are doing, but generally people don't say no, they just may not respond. So the way we did it in our Latacombe project is I just got their form letter, I wrote out a form letter saying you don't have to do anything, this doesn't cost you anything, sent a self-addressed stamped envelope with that, all they have to do is, you know, stamp. But go to the county parcel or county assessor's office, and they can give you the mailing address for every adjacent landowner or any parcel that you want. So if you can find your own parcel, they can find the contact info for all of the surrounding landowners as well.
Yeah, you can also, they have a GIS portal online as well.
Oh, right, that's a good point.
Yeah, you can go to and just click and it's all right there, address.
Yeah, feel free to give your neighbors our cards, take a couple extra, even our numbers, and we're, happy to talk to anybody and see what we can do for anybody.